We have been talking about digital disruptions quite a lot. This morning also there was a kind of a suggestion about the disruption is required, not an adaptive change, disruptive change is required. That was the message we got in the morning. So we're relating to that, in the digital disruption era, what is the best way to combine ancient, medieval and modern ways of learning that will augment student and teacher well-being? Okay, and state what we should stop, continue doing. Would you want me to repeat?
No, that's fine.
That's okay. Okay.
I'm not sure if I have an answer for all of them, but I will try to answer. I think if we were to talk about one disruption, which I'm sure all of us have dabbled with, and that is ChatGPT, generative AI.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm sure as educators, just give me a show of hands if everyone has at least dabbled with it, used it. Yeah? Yes, so we've all looked at it, right? Because it really does put a question on all of us as to what are we now supposed to do in class. Yeah? Whenever I have had this conversation with educators, they have often said, we will have in-class exams with no internet allowed in class. Right? Now that is not really addressing the disruption, addressing the tool, because ChatGPT is telling us that there are certain things that the machine can do well, right? And it will integrate whatever we feed into it, right? Ancient, medieval, modern, doesn't matter. If you feed that material in it, then it will give you a fairly structured answer around it. You can also take a look at it and you can decide whether it fits your criteria or not. And the way ChatGPT has improved, even in the last 6 months, I think the day is not far that we will all have to start therefore asking the question, what is it that we will do in class? Yeah? What is it that we will teach? And I'm sorry, I'm going to give you an example which is possibly more management related, because that's a curriculum I know well. For example, if you, in strategy classes, very often we will teach things as, aap iska SWOT kar dijiye, right? Which is strength, weakness, opportunity, threat. And if somebody does a good SWOT, we give them a great grade, right? ChatGPT does it 10 times better than any one of us can do it.
Oh.
Yeah. In fact, to ChatGPT we asked a question: should IMA's incubation center partner with IIT Chennai? And it gave us a good answer. It gave us the SWOT, it gave us the pros, it gave us the cons.
Oh.
So it is able to do that kind of work. Now the question is, all these years we have gotten away by teaching SWOT. Now we can't get away by teaching SWOT. We have to go further, right? Which means, what do you do with that SWOT? How do you make a decision based on the analysis that is presented to you? See, the machine cannot take that, right? Because the machine doesn't have the context in how you look at it. So even if we ask the question to ChatGPT, should we collaborate with IIT Mumbai? Or IIT Chennai, it gives us all the pros and cons, but the decision is finally ours, right? So I think as instructors, as teachers, as all of us, we have to realize that knowledge is now, information is definitely better available somewhere. Certain level of analysis is also better available somewhere. I cannot grade you on how well you have synthesized 5 papers. ChatGPT hands down wins on that, right? So now basically what we are saying is synthesis is not the skill that we need to teach, but we need to go beyond synthesis. Which means we have to up the game. Actually, I don't know how to teach decision making. I don't know how to bring the intuitive mind into it. I don't know how to look at all of this data the analysis that ChatGPT throws at us, and how to make a decision based on it. We are not ready for it, but I think that is as instructors we will have to start doing, right? So yes, we will have to still get students to appreciate the body of knowledge that is present, right? Because the body of knowledge sometimes becomes quite invisible through ChatGPT. So recognizing that there is a vast body of knowledge is something that possibly schools, in colleges, universities will still do. So that is one thing we will have to continue to do. But I think what we need to stop doing is we need to stop grading or asking people or evaluating people based on just putting together material. Right, so the synthesis or the putting together has to go away. And the third, but what we will need to start doing is, we will have to start looking at what next. What is it that the human can do better than a machine can? And that is what we will have to, and I don't think any one of us has answers to this. I have gone to at least 2 conferences that are just focused on what to do next. And I think everybody stops short of saying, हमें नहीं मालूम है, हमें नहीं मालूम क्या करना है next, right? हम as faculty कहाँ value add करेंगे वो हमें नहीं मालूम है. And I think that is a good place to be. Not knowing is a very important place to be, because when we struggle with the not knowing, some knowing will occur. So that is where we are. I think so we need to start accepting we don't know what next to take our students, what next to offer to our students, and therefore actually do the work for ourselves, and have many circles of conversation around it, and then come to the answer.
Great. So this digital disruption, when I meant, it was actually the AI and machine learning and also the ChatGPT thing which was happening around all of us. So what Madam says is that I was also of that opinion quite some time back. I was against it, but later I realized that it is one of the best things that could have happened in the technology sphere, because the kind of a knowledge that ChatGPT is going to give you is humongous, because in a fraction of a second it is analyzing the whole matter available in the Google or whatever it is, and it is giving you in nutshell. But having said that, the intelligence is required on part of the learners to take what is correct in that, what is not correct in that, and then make a decision. So what Madam says is that let us not take any kind of a decision. You should stop taking decisions just by putting materials together and looking only at that, but analyze the situation around, take the knowledge available from the world, whichever way it comes to you, analyze and then take that, continue doing it. Do not stop something which is good for you. Information is available to you today, which is good for you. If it is good, take it, but you should have the differentiating power. Whether it is right or not, it remains with you. You know, there is a field of engineering. In another 10 years, you are going to have an engineering because the information is going to be so much available in front of the corporates. So what to take, what not to take, the corporate people may find it very difficult. So there is going to be an engineering course that is designed for this purpose of assimilating or differentiating what is the right knowledge for the organization and not. Okay, so we should continue doing if it is good for the organization and taking decision about it, good practices. Stop the aversion or decision making based on only few matter which is available to you, and then look beyond. What we should change is that the synthesis of knowledge should go beyond the realm of disruption or any other knowledge available. So this is what we need to understand. We are heading into a technology world, and thank you, Madam, for this answer. Sir, would you like to add anything more to what Madam said?
I completely agree. The future belongs to technology, and more of technology will pervade in the society and we will be dependent on it. But the future also belongs to knowledge society. Nations which have concentrated on research have excelled. America is at the top because it contributes 50% of new knowledge every year. India contributes 1.7%. So my answer would be, don't be afraid of technology. I have worked on technology for the last 35, 40 years and always we have been scared. अब ये टेक्नोलॉजी तो सब खत्म करने वाला है, टीचर रिप्लेस होने वाला है, ये नहीं हुआ और आगे भी नहीं होगा. करना ये है कि हमको रिसर्च पर जोर देना चाहिए. अगर पूरे देश ने रिसर्च को सेंटर स्टेज नहीं किया एकेडमिक इंस्टीट्यूशन में और एकेडेमिया में, तो आप पिछड़ जाएंगे. नेशनल रिसर्च फाउंडेशन 2019 में अनाउंस हुआ, 21 के बजट में रिपीट किया गया, 23 में कहा गया बनेगा, 50,000 करोड़ दिए गए, अभी भी नहीं हुआ. थोड़ा ये दिखाता है कि हम रिसर्च के बारे में सीरियस नहीं है. रिसर्च करिए, रिसर्च सीरियसली करिए. नॉलेज सोसाइटी इज द फ्यूचर सोसाइटी एंड इफ यू डू नॉट compete with the world in the world of research, you'll be nowhere. So my take would be, don't be afraid of technology. We have enough minds to handle that. We'll be able to use it and utilize it for our benefit, but create good researchers from the country.
Thank you, Dr. Sharma. So future belongs to technology, all of us agree, he also agrees, but he also adds one word, one caveat there, it also belongs to the knowledge community, society, people like you all, youngsters. So it should be taken in such a way that you have to research the kind of knowledge that you are getting, and he's indirectly telling you to do PhDs. Research is, I think we are not good with research percentage.
No, he has prodded me to take up my mic again. The Planning Commission report once said, Indian PhDs are not worth the paper they are printed.
Exactly.
So, I am not referring to degree-based research. I am talking about fundamental research and research which is not only for a degree. ओरिजिनल रिसर्च होना चाहिए, न्यू एरियाज में रिसर्च होना चाहिए, जो कोई नहीं कर रहा है उसमें होना चाहिए और हम कर सकते हैं. हमारे पास ह्यूमन रिसोर्स अवेलेबल है, लैब्स अवेलेबल हैं, लेकिन विल नहीं है.
So, this is what you have heard, Dr. Sharma. Madam Parvati, what do you have to add quickly?
I second what both the speakers said, but at the same time, it's also becoming more and more important, since we know that technology can make things faster, more convenient, it's a good assistance, good support, and we do all look up to technology for many things, but at the same time the kind of database that is available for any user to process information and accordingly decision making, that can be a problem. So what we can do is, while looking at technology, and since the entire zone that is taking care of updating data and all, we'll also keep working on it, but at the same time I think the future also lies in tapping the unexplored areas, intuitive knowledge, insights, and more creativity with whatever you do. A simple lesson, how immersive, engaging and insightful it can be, that should be the strength of a teacher. Even something that is available on a website or on Google, why should one go to a teacher is the way, the creative manner in which the teacher is able to engage your mind and make the whole journey more enriching and more insightful. So I look at a brighter future towards intuitive knowledge, because that is where India can take a lead.
Exactly.
India cannot probably, though we are producing a number of engineers, but we will keep on chasing the race, and we may keep on being in the plane or a zone which doesn't belong to us culturally. But there are other zones where our Bharat can actually take the lead. Look inwards, intuitive knowledge, immersive learning, more of holistic and more of collaborative work, that is more humane and more social connect. That is something where chat GTP and other avenues may not help. In fact, I encountered a very funny experience when I was trying to look into some information on chat GTP, and it was just processing and it said, we still cannot find anything what you are asking. That's because there are so many domains that have still remained unexplored.
So we have a very interesting part here which is coming out, and I'm so glad, ma'am, you mentioned about intuitive knowledge, which is otherwise known as Elan Vital. People call it as the vital energy inside. When be it Niharika madam's suggestion or Dr. Sharma's suggestions, two, three things are coming out very well for you to take home. One is that whatever knowledge is, data is available to you in huge quantity available today. But all of them are coming at one point is that your intelligence, your discerning power, it still is with you. So you should be able to look within, which is the intuitive knowledge, the vital energy that you have, to discern what is right for you and what is not right for you. Like Dhiyo yo na prachodayat, the kind of a Gayatri mantra says, give us the power to differentiate the right from the wrong. So that is very important. The wisdom that the ancient generation gives, the medieval or the modern generation, the fundamental is knowledge is going to be fast, technology is going to be fast, but the skill, the manpower, the intelligence of the human being is still most powerful. The discerning power is still with you. The intuitive energy in you is very, very high. That's what all of them come to a point. Am I right? Yes. Thank you very much for the first questions, Dr. Sharma. The next question would be to you to, there are two questions. Let me choose the one which
more
I
difficult
like to ask. Okay, not difficult one, which I would love them to know about it. How can ancient practices and philosophies be leveraged in a contemporary education to address the modern challenges such as student anxiety, disengagement, and the quest for meaning? Do I repeat?
No, I think I get the feel of the question, and the last three words I won't take up. I'm reminded of again an incident. आपको bear करना पड़ेगा. In 1999, Murli Manohar Joshi became the Education Minister of India, and I remember we had a seminar in National Archives. और जोशी जी यहाँ से शुरू किए, उनका कीनोट एड्रेस था. लोग मेरे पास आते हैं, कहते हैं कि शिक्षा में आमूल चूल परिवर्तन होना चाहिए. मैं पूछता हूँ क्या करूँ? सर नीचे करके पाँव ऊपर कर लूँ तो हो जाएगा? मैं क्या करूँ, कोई बताए तो सही. हमको ये पता ही नहीं था कि चेंज क्या करना है. जो आप एंशिएंट ट्रेडिशन की बात कर रही हैं, कई बार हमने पूछा है कि ऐसे सेमिनार्स में जरा सा चारों वेद का नाम बता दो, 10 उपनिषदों का नाम बताओ, हमें को नहीं आता. अब उससे हम क्या बताएं कि क्या होना चाहिए. लेकिन जब हम पढ़े, जितना पढ़े हैं और जितना हमको मौका लगा है, क्योंकि मैं भी वेस्टर्न ट्रेंड हूँ, हम गर्व कर रहे हैं अब कि हम भारतीय हैं, इसलिए कह रहे हैं कि एंशिएंट ट्रेडिशन, एंशिएंट नॉलेज, और थोड़ा बहुत जहाँ देख पाते हैं तो लगता है कि तो बड़े ज्ञान की बात है. मेरा ऐसा करना होगा. और जैसा कि कल बहन सरस्वती कला जी ने भी कहा और हम आज भी दोहरा रहे हैं, अभी बड़े प्रयास से आपकी किताबों में जो स्कूल के टेक्स्ट बुक आ रहे हैं उसमें हम उस नॉलेज को इनकॉर्पोरेट कर रहे हैं समझ के, क्योंकि हम लोगों ने अपने टीम में बैठाया है ऐसे लोगों को जो जानते हैं. हम लोग नहीं जानते तो केवल इमोशनल होने से काम नहीं चलेगा. हम इमोशनल भारतीय हैं, इन्फॉर्म भारतीय नहीं है. नेक्स्ट जनरेशन आने जा रहा है आपका जो इन्फॉर्म भारतीय होगा, क्योंकि कुछ चीज़ों के बारे में हम जानते हैं, कुछ चीज़ें हम नहीं जानते हैं. जो नेक्स्ट जनरेशन आने जा रहा है वो आपको बताएगा क्या है. मैं कई बार ये एग्जाम्पल कोट कर देता हूँ जो अच्छा नहीं है, पीछे से करता हूँ. मेरा बेटा IIT बॉम्बे MIT स्लोन प्रोडक्ट है, इसलिए उसके क्वालिफिकेशन पर कोई क्वेश्चन मार्क नहीं है. उसने हमसे एक दिन पूछा कि डैडी अगर अंग्रेज ना आए होते तो आप एक देश ही नहीं थे। अंग्रेज आए कि वो एक देश बनाए, अदरवाइज तो छोटे छोटे राज्यों में आप बटे हुए थे। ये दुनिया के सबसे ग्रेट इंस्टीट्यूशन से पढ़ा हुआ बच्चा कर रहा है। तो मेरी जब बहस हुई तो कहा कि आप तो एनसीईआरटी की किताबें लिखते लिखवाते हैं ना, वहीं तो पढ़ा है, ये तो कोट कर रहे हैं आपको। तो ये हमने ही लिखा है एनसीईआरटी की किताबों में कि भाई हम देश नहीं थे, हम स्टेट चार्नर्स का कंट्री थे और हम जंगलों में रहते थे। आपको उसको पढ़ना पड़ेगा, पहले समझना पड़ेगा, रीइंस्टेट करना पड़ेगा और 3 साल के बच्चे को ये सिखाना पड़ेगा, यू आर प्राउड इंडियन। तुम्हारे विरासत ने सबसे पहले, दुनिया में सबसे पहले हवाई जहाज किसने उड़ाया था? मैम बोलिए, अब तो पढ़ी होंगी स्कूल के टेक्स्ट बुक में, बोल जाइए। राइट ब्रदर्स 1903 तड़पले ने हवाई जहाज बम्बे चौपाटी पर 1894 में उड़ाया था। उसकी पूरे विज्ञान अंग्रेज लेके गए इंग्लैंड से गया अमेरिका और अमेरिका से ये राइट ब्रदर्स उड़ाए, उसी का पढ़ के। भारद्वाज ने वैमानिकी दिया है 1000 साल पहले। मैं ये कह रहा हूं, मेरा उत्तर ये है, ये पृष्ठभूमि देना जरूरी था। पहले हमको समझना पड़ेगा, इसलिए उनको पढ़ना पड़ेगा, उसके आपको काम करना पड़ेगा और उसके बाद आपको उसको लाना पड़ेगा स्कूल के टेक्स्ट बुक्स में। करिकुलम टेक्स्ट बुक्स, करिकुलम में तो हम लोगों ने दे दिया, नेशनल करिकुलम फ्रेमवर्क में वो डाल दिया है और उसी के हिसाब से जो किताबें बन रही हैं वो आएगा, तब आप समझेंगे कि क्या है। आज मैं कहूँ कि ये पढ़ाना चाहिए कि तटपले ने उड़ाया था हवाई जहाज, आपका बच्चा फील करेगा। But that identity has to be changed. Our identity has been tarnished and corrupted. We need to rewrite that identity, that Bharatiya identity.
Very true, sir. So, sir is saying that we need to bring it into the curriculum. Curriculum is already done. The textbooks have to integrate it. But I have a little bit of a query here to ask. When we talk about the ancient wisdom, medieval wisdom and also modern thing they may know, our teachers may not really know what this ancient wisdom is all about.
Yeah.
So we are expecting our teachers to teach something or integrate something which they themselves are not very clear. So who will give them the guidance?
That's what I'm saying. Look, again I will have to give you an example. देखिए हम पढ़ा रहे हैं टीचर ट्रेनिंग, टीचर अच्छा होना चाहिए, टीचर ऑटोनॉमस होना चाहिए। द्रोणाचार्य का उदाहरण हम कई बार देते हैं। द्रोणाचार्य के पुत्र ने अश्वत्थामा ने उससे पूछ लिया कि डैडी, पिताजी, गुरुजी जो भी, आप अर्जुन को ज्यादा प्यार करते हैं, हमारे स्टूडेंट भी पूछते हैं। द्रोणाचार्य ने क्या किया? डांटते थोड़ी लगाया, कहा चलो देखते हैं। तो वो 5 पांडवों को ले गए और अपने पुत्र को ले गए और कहा, फिर वो आप सब जानते हैं चिड़िया की आंख वाली कहानी। रीइंस्टेट करो ना अपने टीचर ट्रेनिंग में। हमारे बच्चे कुछ भी क्वेश्चन पूछ सकते हैं, नाराज नहीं होना है, आपको कुछ सोसाइटी दिखानी है।
That's good.
मैं बहुत सारी और कहानियां अभी नहीं बताऊंगा क्योंकि मैं अब थोड़ा सीख लिया हूं, तो मैं उसको करिकुलम में ला रहा हूं। उसको ऑटोनोमस करना होगा, जिसकी बात कल भी कहे। टीचर को ऑटोनोमस करना होगा, उसको स्वायत्तता देनी पड़ेगी, अधिकार उसके हाथ में देना पड़ेगा। हम यही कर सकते हैं एज टीचर्स, एज पेडागॉग्स, एज पॉलिसी प्लानर्स। ये चीज़ें मुझे याद पड़ रहा है और बहुत बड़े व्यक्ति हैं, आप सब पता नहीं नाम जानते हैं, थोड़ा गूगल करिएगा, कृष्ण गोपाल जी। कृष्ण गोपाल जी ने एक, मेरी माँ के नाम पर मैं एनुअल लेक्चर कराता हूँ, उसको एड्रेस किया था। उन्होंने बहुत अच्छा कहा, जो मैं कल कहा था, टीचर का अगर अटेंडेंस ले रहे हो, बायोमेट्रिक्स लगवा रहे हो, तो टीचर नहीं बना पाओगे। उसको ऑटोनोमस करो, इंडिपेंडेंट करो, उसके हाथ में अधिकार दो, उसको तय करने दो बच्चा क्या करेगा। हम सब नियम बना के कह रहे हैं कि अगर आपने कान पकड़ लिया नौकरी जाएगी, अगर डांट दिया तो सस्पेंड हो जाएंगे। क्या कर रहे हो?
Very true. So fundamentally at the fulcrum it is the teacher. Without teacher nothing happens, and all of you should pat yourself on your shoulder that you are still going to be there as teachers.
But learn from your ancient
Exactly,
tradition what was the place of the teacher in the society and reinstate that position. Unless until you do, you won't be able to do. Not because I am a teacher.
Exactly. Personally, I have a request to all the teachers here. One of the beautiful habits that is missing out from the teaching faculty today is reading. Reading habit is totally missing out. You read your reference books, the subject books which you are going to teach. Apart from that, beyond the textbooks, you are not reaching out. Your knowledge is going to be limited, and you have to, if you want to stand in front of your students and say that you are the person, then you need to know, because a person who reads can lead. Otherwise, it is going to be a problem. Ma'am, your views to this question?
So I have mixed emotions about this. While I cannot at all disagree that we need to know who we are, what we were, and so on and so forth, when I see the current situation, I feel a little. I'm not sure, right? I'm not sure whether this entire focus on what was there, what is it going to do to our engagement with the present? Yeah? Because see, at the end of the day, today, you have already said 1.5% research, PhDs are not worth the paper they are printed on. We have been shameless technology followers, not creators, right? There is no Google, no Facebook, no Google, nothing that has come out from India, despite all our intellectual power and so on and so forth. So I'm really confused, yeah. And it's a very strong emotion, right? I wish I could say that because everything in the past was good, which I don't have visibility on because I'm not a scholar of that. There is a lot of creating a story about that, which is also very useful because we have to be proud of who we were. But at the same time, there is a certain, I'm wondering how are we going to connect that, right? Because our present, in many ways, not just technology, not just in everything. There's just in everything, I see we have a very lack approach. We're very lacking. Yeah. When I meet an IIT engineer who has studied for X amount of years to be in IIT and then has not learned a single word of their subject, who are we fooling? Is the question I want to ask, right? When I meet a student, who is in class 8, and when he or she asks too many questions or is possibly exploring life, his parents or her parents send her away to an ashram to study so that the child can be disciplined. I don't know what we are talking about. Yeah, so I'm really confused. Yeah, and that's where I would like to be at, right? I wish I was so sure.
I must add to it. Look, we are at crossroads today.
Exactly.
हम confused nation हैं.
Exactly.
कल भी मैं बोला था, मैं फिर दोबारा बोलूँगा. मेरा कोई स्टूडेंट कल इंटरव्यू फेस करने वाला है, मैसेज कर रहा है, सर फलाने लोग इंटरव्यू में हैं, प्लीज सिफारिश कर दीजिए. इस रूम से निकल के मैं फोन दोनों को करूँगा, एक्सपर्ट को, कि मेरा स्टूडेंट है, जरा ध्यान रखना. मैं बिल्कुल ये नहीं कह रहा हूँ कि मैं सिफारिश नहीं करता हूँ, मैं बिल्कुल ये नहीं कह रहा हूँ कि मैं नहीं करता हूँ, लेकिन मैं इस काम को बुरा मानता हूँ, लेकिन जीने के लिए करना है. आप क्या समझ रहे हैं कि आप यूनिवर्सिटी बोल रहे हैं तो यूनिवर्सिटी डिफाइन करता है यूनिवर्सिटी? Your universities don't really stand up to the definition of a university. Your teacher, that definition of teacher, हम टीचर हैं, हम प्रोफेसर हैं, तो मतलब सोच लेना कि हम प्रोफेसर डिजर्व करते हैं, इसलिए हम उसको डिफाइन ही नहीं कर रहे हैं. हम डिस्कस कर रहे हैं व्हाट शुड बी अ यूनिवर्सिटी, हु इज द टीचर. अब जब मैं कहता हूं कि टीचर ये होगा, मैं ये नहीं कह रहा हूं कि मैं वो हूं, नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं हूं. आई एम 5% ऑफ द्रोणाचार्य, 1% ऑफ द्रोणाचार्य, लेकिन द्रोणाचार्य होना चाहिए, ये जरूर समाज में बोलो. और जब तक द्रोणाचार्य नहीं बनाएंगे तब तक समाज नहीं बनेगा, ये बोलो. मैं ये बिल्कुल क्लेम नहीं करता हूं, क्योंकि समाज में जीने के लिए हमको बेईमानी करना है. लेकिन हमें वो ताकत है, हम खड़े होकर यहाँ से कह रहे हैं, हाँ मैं अपने स्टूडेंट के लिए भी सिफारिश करूँगा कि भाई जरा देख लेना, अगर इसका कर सको तो कर देना, बड़ा अच्छा विद्यार्थी है।
Thank you, sir. See, like what Niharika madam said, it is a little confusing state which everyone else is agreeing to it. Because we are at a crossroad, like what Dr. Sharma said. We don't know which way to take, this way or that way. We have no idea. So at that point in time, what is best in the existing situation has to be, again I am getting back to it, your intuitive power, your discerning power, your intelligence will have to guide you, especially the teaching faculty sitting over here, for the simple reason that you are going to send these students who are in your classrooms are going to be in the work space or in leading the country or whichever area it is in another 5 or 6 years. They will be in very high positions or positions that contribute to the society. So you have a very great responsibility. So you need to make sure what kind of an ancient wisdom is suitable for you to take the students ahead. There is a hue and cry about culture. But that culture also has to be seriously looked into, whether they are the ones which we really want to help our children. So with that, we'll pass on to the third question. The third question to ma'am is, how can traditional pedagogy, Guru Shishya Parampara, contribute to the bigger universe of education? That is your area, favorite area. I suppose you are running a Guru Shishya Parampara kind of a thing. So quickly you make it so that we could take 1 or 2 questions from the audience too.
Yeah, thank you. To begin with, let me quickly clarify some of the doubts or misconceptions related to Guru Shishya Parampara. Many a times, even when I was a learner, seeker, I used to feel that it's about some kind of surrender, some kind of obedience. Well, let me draw your attention to the oldest available text called Natya Shastra by Bharata Muni. The first chapter is very interesting. I think every teacher should go through the first chapter because it's not about dance or music. It's about the Guru and the Shishya, what they are discussing. So it's a day of Anadhyayan. Now this is something very interesting in the Guru Shishya tradition. It is called Anadhyayan. So Adhyayan is the day of lecture or study, but Anadhyayan is the day when you take a break. But the break doesn't mean like in the modern days, a teacher wants to go for a holiday or a vacation. So Anadhyayan doesn't actually mean a holiday. It is the day when you are not teaching. So what are you doing? You are reflecting, you are thinking, you are introspecting, you are churning, manthan. So it is the day of Anadhyayan of Bharata Muni, and he is just reflecting in his own cottage probably. We can imagine a scene that he is surrounded by Shishyas, but he is still reflecting. He is not meeting any student on that day. And it's the day when the students are doing whatever they have the freedom to do whatever they want, but they have some questions, some very important questions which they feel can they casually go and meet the Guru and discuss. So Natya Shastra is set on this day of Anadhyayan. If you read the first chapter, you will see it's the day of Anadhyayan where he is not teaching, but he is discussing very casually, candidly, matter-of-factly about the science and art of performing arts. So that answers one part of Guru Shishya Parampara. It's about immersive, informal, at the same time a very sincere effort to learn and understand the chosen subject. This is more of a philosophy. I cannot place it in any time zone. I cannot say this is ancient. I cannot say it is modern. ये शाश्वत है, ये हमेशा रहेगा. जो भी उस तरह से immersive learning में भरोसा करता है और करना चाहता है, it requires some kind of commitment. Yes. For the teacher also, one has to be committed. If I cannot imagine a teacher going everywhere and coming back and reflecting. You need to do do it in a different manner. There has to be a lifestyle where the teacher and the disciple both are committed to this quest. And the quest is for both the teacher and the student. So this kind of philosophy of learning, reflecting, offers various paradigms of power. Now today when we look at the role of teachers and we find, जैसे शर्मा जी ने भी कहा कि टीचर कहाँ है, तो मैं paradigms of power जो देखती हूँ उसमें एक को मैं कहती हूँ राजसत्ता, which is the governance, the power of governance or management or authorities. The second could be arthasatta, the power of economy, equity or finance. But the third I would say Jnanasatta. So I have a feeling that Guru Shishya Parampara essentially is a zone of Jnanasatta because there has been a social system looking at
what is Jnanasatta? What is the English for it?
Power of knowledge.
Knowledge.
Yes. So I look at Guru Shishya Parampara as essentially an empowering zone for the teachers because that's their zone of autonomy, of realizing their roles, responsibilities and ownership. The ownership is molding and a transformative journey of the disciple. And with this, whatever may be the time zone, whether it is ancient period or modern, it can be technology driven. During COVID for 2 years, I conducted classes online and those were equally interesting, engaging and insightful for everyone because it's just like we were not talking one-on-one but we were talking through a computer or something. So technology is just an assistance, just a support system and just the way I'm using a mic. We would not have used a mic few hundred years ago. But what remains the most important thing is the philosophy, the ownership, the commitment and the role of society. What society can do to nurture and patronize this kind of learning. And having said that, I would also like to draw your attention to the 4 kinds of offerings that any person who is a knowledge seeker or a student can ultimately decide on themselves whether they want to be a service provider. So that is the most important zone. Everyone wants to be a service provider. So one is service, the second is knowledge, adding to knowledge, the existing knowledge. The third is innovation and the fourth is leadership. I believe that these are the only 4 zones of offerings that we can choose out of these 4. Whatever you may be a teacher, a doctor, then we are still service providers unless and until we have added something to the knowledge or innovation or we have stood for some value or some ethics and emerged as leaders.
Good.
So with that, I think I look at technology as a beautiful support structure to take this philosophy
A
further.
wonderful servant, right?
Subservient. I would not say servant, I would say subservient.
Subservient. Wonderful. Anyway, that's great. It was actually, Parvati ma'am, you have indirectly made my job very easy. Summarized the whole discussion point today for all the other 2 questions also. You have actually given an answer. We were wondering what this ancient wisdom could be. You have given some kind of an insight into it. What I would like to say, you said anadhyaya. Adhyaya and anadhyaya. Anadhyaya divas is for you to reflect, you say. And this reflecting power is something which we have lost in this busy schedule of our life. So reflecting yourself, and you also gave 4 offerings, like which is your service, then your knowledge and also innovation and leadership. So all these 4 offerings and a power for reflection which only human beings have, the 6th sense, they only have the power to think. With that, if we are able to incorporate the intuitive knowledge and the discerning power, the world ahead is not difficult for you at all. It's going to be a wonderful world, and thank you very much. And your views, anything you would like to add, ma'am?
I think you've said it very beautifully. I just want to say that, in my other field of practice, I think we always talk about the being and doing. And my doing cannot fully be my being, and my being has to reflect on my doing, right? So again, when as people who work with other minds, yeah, this ability to kind of work on myself, recognize my being, is very important, and yet not be completely in the world of being where there is no doing. So I think that it has to be always not kept in balance, but integrated.
Very good, excellent. Being and doing. The beautiful differentiation is being brought out by ma'am, that you do your work, whatever work you are doing, continue doing that work, but at the same time also have an ear, a concern for the others, which indirectly leads to one of the ancient wisdom of being compassionate, being a good listener. The problem today is that we don't listen, we hear. We don't listen. That is the biggest problem. The world needs people who can listen. That is something really good, ma'am. Very good answer. You can conclude the discussions.
I think we have already concluded, but I'll refer to two terms. देखिए, हमने दुनिया को एक शब्द दिया है सत्संग. आप ज्ञानी हैं, आप जानते हैं, लेकिन अगर उस पर चर्चा नहीं करते हैं, बात नहीं करते हैं, तो आप सही में टेस्ट नहीं किए हैं. तो सत्संग का बड़ा महत्व है भारतीय परंपरा में, और हम वही कर रहे हैं, जो करते रहना चाहिए. ये कम गया है. जो उदाहरण मैं देना चाहूँगा, कुरुक्षेत्र के बाद एक लंबी बैठक हुई थी नैमिषारण्य में. हम जानते हैं नैमिषारण्य के कारण इतना डिस्ट्रक्शन हुआ कि चिंता हुई कि अब दुनिया का क्या होगा. तो जितने ज्ञानी थे ये नैमिषारण्य में बैठे और वर्षों तक सत्संग चला कि ऐसा हुआ क्यों, कितना विनाश हुआ, कैसे ठीक किया जाए और आगे की दुनिया कैसे होगी. तो मुझे लगता है कि सबसे पहले संस्थाओं को ठीक करने की ज़रूरत है, सत्संग की ज़रूरत है, और यही तो नैमिषारण्य है. हमने दुनिया को दिया है, दुनिया हमसे सीखी है, हम बोल रहे हैं. हमको सत्संग करना चाहिए और नैमिषारण्य बनाना चाहिए अपने विश्वविद्यालयों को.
Thank you so much, and it has been a wonderful listening to all of them. From morning, we had been listening to great thoughts, and I should congratulate the young ladies sitting here, Aparna and Namrata, and the team behind them to have organized this kind of a program. You will have to tolerate me again tomorrow. One more session is there, that I'm sure you will. Thank you very much.